All right, good evening, everybody. It is 6:32. We did start a little bit late. I want to give everybody enough time because of weather and traffic. So if everybody can take their seats. My name is Russ Bradford. I am the district council member for District 13, which area this proposed expansion is going to occur. I wanted to have an opportunity for those who are wanting to do this project to talk to the community, explain a little bit about what they're wanting to do, and then after they do that, I'll kind of explain what the process is going forward. And then if there's any questions at that time, we'll take those. So with that, I'll go ahead and invite the owners and designers. They will come up and introduce themselves and say a little bit about what they want to do.
Sure, thank you. I'm Brendan Bowles with Kimley Horton Associates here in Nashville. I'm a civil engineer by training, and this property is located at 2464 Couchville Pike. And so this is an existing facility for Central Transport, and Alan is here representing Central Transport. But I'll give you a brief overview of kind of why we're here today. This is the existing facility here. It's got one access point on Couchville Pike. Central Transport owns this parcel directly behind it, which is due north, and then the one east of it here that's got a split zoning. These are all in blue color zoned industrial today and have a district industrial community policy overlay on top of them. This area over here is zoned agricultural and has a T3 neighborhood evolving policy area. The intent for this building expansion would be to leave this property as is today as far as the zoning goes, so no change to the zoning or policy there. The request for Councilman Bradford, who's been kind enough to walk us through and the rezoning procedures here. We've been talking with the councilman since I think it was November of last year, trying to make sure that we communicated with him, and he asked that we have this community meeting tonight before any paperwork was filed with the city. So no rezoning applications have been submitted formally to the city, and so we're here today to get the community feedback from you all. And there are sign-in sheets here at the door if you haven't signed in, and there's also comment cards if anybody would like to leave a comment, written comment, you're welcome to do that as well. This area here is roughly 16.91 acres or 17 acres, and that is the area that we're asking for consideration for rezoning and policy adjustment to match the district industrial and industrial zoning designations that are currently on the property. The plan is for this building expansion to come straight back and then out and over to help with their growth in the area for this facility. The existing runway for the airport is back over here to my left, it's roughly 4,500 feet from the actual runway of the airport. So not great for residential development being so close to the airport. Obviously the noise and whatnot from the planes landing or taking off. This land is also really landlocked for any other development. Crown Castle has owned this property since 2014 with plans for expansion, and is now at the point and ready to make the investment in the facility, which requires this zoning adjustment here. The existing zoning is agriculture, if I didn't say that already. So the plan is to request that to be changed to IWD to match the other property and allow for the expansion to happen. Alan, I'll let you give a little bit more information about who you are and what you guys do.
So hi, Alan Cromer, Central Transport. We've been neighbors for about 30 years here on the Couchville Pike. So we operate a trucking terminal that we got most of our biggest clients would be on Amazon, Walmart. We do handle our clients are also the big three automakers. You know about the Global project before is doing the EV two-story, has a two-story office building, and we only really use about half of that office. We have about 85 to 90 employees. Of that breakdown, it would be about 10 in the office, another 12 on the dock, and then the rest are all drivers. We operate 3 shifts out of here. So the trucks come in and out regularly, but they're, intermittently broken. The problem that we've had with this property is that we're restricted. Right here is a big rock wall, and that's the end of our property that we can actually use. And this is a pretty good picture to show. We have trailers lined up here on an angle, all the way down the side. Every dock door is full, even though a lot of these dock doors really need some maintenance. They don't even have, a bumper here anymore, it's all falling off. So the intent would be to open this up. We could relieve these areas, spread out the trailers, so we'd have, the trailers could be spread out. It would be much better for safety, much better for flow. And then we would build the expansion, operate out, mostly out of that expansion while we improve this portion of it, and then build a new office that would be a much better design. We function better, we work better for our employees. And when I came to the property today, I was there for about 4 hours, and all of the workers, all the employees, please help us. We really need some improvements here. So we think that this would be a fantastic improvement. Like Brendan said, we wanted to do this since 2014. We've looked into it. We've kind of put the feelers out here and there, but it never materialized. So finally we decided that it's time to invest into this facility, commit to the community, and continue to be a good neighbor and move forward.
All right, go ahead. If that's it, we'll go ahead and start with questions.
That's it. Yes.
So how many bays do you have now?
I'm sorry.
How many docks do you have now?
So there's about 140 here now.
And of those, do you use all of them?
We
All
don't.
100? No.
We don't. So this is the best of the show. I would say probably about 80% of these don't even have gear on them. So the trailers that you see how the doors are full. But probably about 80% are using.
And then how many docks are you looking to put on the expansion?
This would be contingent with about 80 doors. We're not quite sure if we're going to do 80 doors here or get, take back to 75 for flow, but between 75 and 80.
And then revamp the originals?
And then, yes, and then if we got out of this, and then we could revamp all of them.
So would you be bringing all 80 that you currently have
We would,
up to
yes,
operational?
We would bring them all up to operation, that way they could use any of the doors that they wanted.
Are you looking at any point being utilizing 100% of the bays, or is there like a consistent?
We don't see that in the near future. I mean, is it possible that someday with growth and expansion, it's possible, but typically overbuild it and give yourself room to breathe is what we're doing.
And how many trucks do you have in and out currently?
About
Okay.
60 trucks.
And you're looking to double that basically,
And that's
or more?
3 shifts. Well, no, the intention would be to double. The clients.
Well, hopefully if business is good.
The same clients are really servicing. So, no, the intention would be to put more trucks on the road.
Okay.
And the access point on Couchville Pike will remain the same for the trucks, so, no change.
The
in
single
flow.
access.
Right, there is an employee access, and through preliminary conversations with NDOT, they did ask us to remove this driveway here for the cars, for the employee lot, so we'll still be using this Wilson Drive, Wilson Sporting Goods driveway for access for the employees. But I think, Alan's point, this is going to be a big improvement to the property and really for the employee experience.
It's congested, it's unsafe, and it's been that way for a long, long time. This will help us to move around and pull the property. And get these trailers.
Yeah, that's not good.
Every time we get these guys are truck drivers, so they back up until they hit something, they turn around until they run into something, so every time that happens, it's, somebody doesn't have a truck because,
I think your point, Alan, that you made with Councilman Bradford earlier on about how you monitor your truck drivers, you know, I think that's an important, you know, point that maybe not all operators do.
yeah, no, they're GPS monitored 100% of the time from the time that they fire up and back up to the trailer to the time that they bring another trailer back in. And so, and this is all local. This is a service in your community in Green and Nashville. So that you see here, like I said, it's Amazon and Walmart and other manufacturers that bring their freight in. This will help us to move that freight. Because they would be able to bring the freight in, drop it, and then leave, and then we would pick up. We would take it to the Amazon facility, the Walmart facility. So Under Armour's and other client dollars and some facilities.
So do most of them go out Couchville Pike to Knapp Boulevard and Donaldson Pike? Is that how they exit?
Yes.
Do any of them ever go out to Bell Road?
I think I've heard that they do, but it's very, very rare. Very rare.
Now,
I'm pretty sure this facility that I heard that they would go the other way, but very rare. Only their local delivery, and that's usually a small truck.
now, in our previous conversations, and I want to ask this question just for the benefit of those who may be watching. You know, I brought up the fact that a lot of this area is kind of suffering PTSD from a lot of the blasting that's gone on over the last few years for some of the construction. Do you foresee any blasting going on to do this expansion?
It's possible, yes, and that's a good point. So the beginning of this hill, of the hill rock back here is about 40 feet straight up, but then it goes down. So if there is blasting, it's going to be mostly on this side. And my hope would be, because in looking at it, especially today, I'm glad that I visited the site today and actually climbed up on the rock. It looked like it was done with drills. The last time they pushed it back.
It was.
So maybe that's possible. We'll hire the best local advice.
Is that all cleared land now where you're looking to expand, or is
No,
it?
is
woods?
not.
It's all
Some of
woods.
It's cleared back, I think.
It's
cleared
fields
back
and
about
woods.
here,
It's fields
But
and
it's
woods.
grown back up, It was cleared, I think, back in 2018. The intent was to do this at that time.
And both the side lots as well are natural
No,
growth
they're
right now?
They're not entirely, no. They're still little. And it's basically just a big rock block.
Have you had conversations yet with Metro Stormwater on how to mitigate? And since we are taking a lot of trees out of this area and replacing of concrete, have you had those conversations yet with Stormwater as to what you need to do to mitigate that?
Not specifically with Metro Stormwater. Of course, we are familiar with Metro's requirements for water quality and detention. Pulley tributary, runs north up through here. Is actually on the far western side of the property boundary. So we will be collecting the stormwater, treating it, and then taking it down to the creek for discharge.
And
So correct me if I'm wrong, and that's the rules this year.
Yeah, that's right.
I think they want to do some.
Signs and wonders.
another question related to, the blasting noise and whatnot, when we had our conversation, I asked, like, what were you planning to do on kind of the back? Because as you see, there's a lot of houses along
Yeah.
Pulley Road, and one suggestion, or one thing I'd ask for is keep as much of the natural vegetation, but
Correct.
are y'all looking to do kind of sound barriers or anything to help mitigate noise? Or do y'all operate 24/7, or do you only operate certain times so that
No, it's the
people
shifts.
people at night don't have to?
So the blasting, we would come up with a blasting schedule, blast only during the week, and we could, I'm pretty sure that they could set that at certain times too, that we're gonna blast at this time on these days. If blasting is the way to go.
So we would communicate that through you, or however you want it to be distributed to the community and the neighbors. We had talked about leaving an existing, vegetated buffer back here, which I think we can do. It's obviously, it's it's always, in my opinion, better to use existing vegetation for the buffer instead of planting new. You get a lot of, you get smaller trees, and some of them die over time, as you're trying to get them established. So if we can keep the existing vegetation, even if we need to supplement with some evergreens, if there's not enough evergreens in there, we can add some evergreens. So I think we're open to that discussion and what makes the most sense. Certainly there will be a landscape buffer required by code, but we can go, and exceed that buffer, based on conversations.
And in your conversations with NDOT, when they told you to take out that one driveway, did they offer any other suggestions or advice specifically, like with the big trucks coming out, as far as a caution light or something to let folks who are coming up and down Couchville know that trucks are coming out?
They did not recommend any lights or caution lights or anything like that. I think that there will be similar roadway improvements as you've seen further east on Couchville Pike, the sidewalk and they're going to a 3-lane section there. So I believe that'll be a similar ask from the city, from NDOT to make improvements at the actual Couchville Pike along the property frontage. So that certainly by widening the road, you'll get a little better turning movements and things like that at the driveway. Certainly we would want to make sure this is in adequate shape and width and pavement and things like that if we need to do some upgrades there.
Any other questions? All right. So just to kind of let folks know who may be watching, who may watch this later, as he said earlier, nothing's been submitted to the planning department yet, so I wanted to have this meeting to get the community's input and thoughts on this, so that if there's any changes or anything that we wanted to kind of fix real quick, we can do that before anything's submitted. So if you watch this later, or if you have questions later, shoot those emails to me at russ.bradford@national.gov with your thoughts, whether you're for, you're against, or your thoughts on how to make this better. And then I can get in touch with the owners and developers, and we can see what can be done. At that point, if I feel like that there's adequate support from the community, then I will let them know they can go ahead and file with the planning department. And then once that happens, we'll have to go and review it with all the different departments, the planning department, then it'll go to the planning commission. There'll be a public hearing through the planning commission where residents have an opportunity to speak then. Once it goes through the planning commission, if it has a favorable recommendation, then it comes to the council, and it'll be a 3-reading ordinance. Whereas on the 2nd reading, there will be another public hearing, so another opportunity for the public to come out and say whether they're for or against this proposal. And then after the passage on 3rd reading, that's when it takes effect, the property will be rezoned, and they can start doing what they need to do. So with that, again, any questions, thoughts, comments, you can go ahead and send those to me by email. Yes, sir, you have a question out there.
Yeah, Councilman Bradford, do you have an update on the Harding Place extension?
So every time I have a conversation with TDOT, I always ask them, what's the status of Harding Pike extension? And every time the answer I get is it's not on their radar. The clearest answer I ever got from TDOT was that the Donaldson Pike relocation has pretty much taken place of Harding Pike, and that it's not even on the 30-year plan to do Harding Pike. So more than likely, nobody in this room will see a Harding Pike extension in their lifetime. That could change tomorrow, could change next week, but the last answer I got from TDOT was they have no plans on Harding Pike. They're working on Donaldson Pike, and that will be their new kind of connected loop area.
But wasn't that the original plan for the area when they approved all the industrial parks originally? That there was going to be
My
the
understanding
4
is
lane
yes, they were looking,
state highway.
That's why they acquired all that right away.
So
we're
we can-
looking at doing Harding Pike.
But we continue to allow more development in the area when we know that there's never going to be an expansion, that there's never going to be access for these trucking companies.
Right now, the access is connecting them to Donaldson Pike through Couchville and all the other roads.
And that's working real well.
And to follow up on that, I do have a meeting with NDOT next month. They've been meeting with council members, doing drive-throughs of districts, kind of find out what are the transportation-related issues in their districts. I plan on bringing this up with them on that meeting and talking. As he stated, this area has been developing industrial for the better part of a decade plus, yet the city's not really done much to improve the infrastructure out here. And it's starting to cause a lot of issues with future development. So hopefully bringing them out here and showing them firsthand, but I don't believe anybody from NDOT's leadership has ever been out here.
Probably not.
So having their GallerCon and a lot of them out here and showing them firsthand what the problem is.
What day is that gonna be again?
I'm meeting with them on June 4th in the afternoon. So hopefully, I say this, and not many people say this, hopefully that we will hit Bell Road at the right time and they can see all the traffic.
You can't tell me that somebody who lives in Nashville doesn't know what Bell Road looks like.
But,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
but yes, it is a problem, it's an issue, and I'm trying to address it in NDOT to see if we can improve the infrastructure.
You know, Councilman Bradford, we've talked about this before, but like, you know, there has been a good bit of development out there, and the incremental taxes that are generated now compared to, you know, 10 years ago is $4.5 million per year. And, you know, my question is, why can't Nashville reinvest some of that money in this neighborhood? I mean, where is that money going?
So that money's going into the general fund. And
Yeah.
Anytime any council member tries to, we had this conversation over the last term when council members tried to find dedicated funding for different things. We're like, well, let's take a certain percentage of our taxes that come in and divert it to this for, we were originally talking about transit. Like, let's take some of the money already coming in, divert it to transit, or divert it to trees, or divert it to this. But when you do that, then you're basically taking away money that could go to schools, go to employee pay raises. So without creating an additional source of revenues, i.e. like increasing sales tax, or like they've done in the Gulch where there's an additional tax on top of the property tax that goes to pay for the upkeep of the city services in that particular area. When you come to Metro and say, hey, can we just take the property taxes or percentage of property taxes generated in this area and just divert it? Finance office will automatically say no.
Well, what if you looked at it this way? I mean, other parts of the city have basic services like sewer. Like this area doesn't even have sewer. Like, you know, incremental taxes aside, shouldn't Metro invest in sewer for this area?
So the reason a lot of this area doesn't have sewer was was for a long time considered rural and more of a county. So if you're south of Couchville Pike, that area was annexed into the Urban Services District a few years ago. With that comes a lot of those city services. On the north side is general services or the county. You know, if you live in any other county, that city, like Mount Juliet's not going to pay for your sewer if you live out in somewhere in Wilson County or vice versa, you know, in other counties. So that's kind of why this area is always for a long time been very rural, very not urban. And so the annexation of the southern portion has occurred, but most of this development has been kind of before that and after that. And Metro has always preferred to let the developers and builders build the infrastructure because it's no cost to Metro, and Metro just takes over the maintenance of it after the fact. But when you're in the general services, Metro doesn't like to put in those services because it's not something that's covered by that tax base. I've had previous conversations, previous meetings about potentially annexing the rest of that area into the urban services so that the city can be a little bit more proactive.
We still wouldn't get sewer though.
You know, that's still a question that's out there, like,
You wouldn't.
will urban services bring sewer, or is it still gonna be what we're seeing now, whereas, yes, you're in urban services, which should be having sewer provided to you, but Metro is not gonna put it out there. There's still ongoing questions I have. You had a couple,
I was just going back to the development, saying it goes through, how long of a construction time are we looking at?
that would be,
Yeah,
So, if without the big rock bluff back there, I think that, we would probably be looking at worst, 9 months, or with the rock bluff, and we'll spread that out over time. I would say a year to 18 months.
So a year to 18 months of dump trucks and
And then we're going to be at
blasting
certain
and
times.
whatever.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be a lot of dump trucks, that would just be at certain times. We plan on stockpiling back here mostly, all of our rubble, and then we would just take it all out.
Just work out a deal with the neighbor, they probably would buy your rock.
Yeah, they probably would. We'd have a lot of it for sale. So, and then the other thing would be.
If you crush it, then the residents would buy it too.
So when we start the paving, then you would have, at that time, you would have kind of three trucks in, where they only take, 2.
Have you looked into reusing some of the rubble that you get into the concrete?
We will. We'll use as much as we can, underneath the concrete and use it for base.
Any other questions? All right, well, I appreciate everybody for coming out on what was the rain afternoon.
No, it's a beautiful rainbow.
The rain is cleared up. So again, thank you. If you've not already signed in, please sign in, and take one of my business cards, and look forward to hearing from y'all later. Have a good evening.
Thank you.